Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast. We are live. It's a new episode of the Sprint Ride Option Podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini. I have a pen in my hand. That's how you know I mean business. I am joined, as always, by Jason Aponte. And Jason Aponte, can I drop some just random knowledge on you really quick that I just saw on Twitter?
Real quick, you're joined by Jason Aponte and the guy I'm pointing to over my shoulder.
The documentary maker, right?
The captain.
The captain. Loyalty one way is just stupidity. That's what I heard. Jason, I'm going to drop some knowledge on you just really quick. Has nothing to do with the 49ers linebackers, but hey, we like to talk, let the crowd fill in a little bit, talk to the people. And we're opening up our linebacker preview with a Yankee stat.
Oh, wow.
Aaron Judge's home run in the top of the third inning against the Baltimore Orioles today was the first home run of his career hit against somebody taller than him. Tyler Wells is 6'8". Aaron Judge is what, 6'7"?
Yes. First
time Aaron Judge did a home run off of somebody taller than him.
Wow. You know what's funny? Aaron Judge is going to leave the New York Yankees. Where he goes, I don't know. Everybody has gravitated to the quote that was thrown out there. There was a quote right before that said, I would love to be a Yankee forever, but it does seem like a foregone conclusion that Aaron Judge is going to be playing baseball somewhere else next year.
Yes.
So I am just going to enjoy every moment that I can with him right now.
And hope by August 2nd, Juan Soto's a Yankee, right?
Doesn't seem likely at this point. But I will say this. If I could be the wet blanket to the other people who enjoy this show of their team, I just read a report that said the Giants have a 5% chance of getting Juan Soto. 5%
chance. Hey, so you're saying that, what is that, the Dumb and Dumber meme? So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
So, hey, we're there, Jason. So that's all that's important. Also, the Red Sox just gave up a Little League Inside the Park Grand Slam to Raimel Tapia.
They're cooked.
So Red Sox are cooked. We don't need to talk about them.
Only teams that have a chance at this point. But we're here to talk about the team that's actually starting training camp in a few days.
Yes, the San Francisco 49ers. They are starting training camp in a few days. I think I'm going to be out there Saturday, I believe. So I'm looking forward to it. I've only been to one training camp. It was the Raiders the year they signed Marshawn Lynch. That was fun. So I'm very excited to see my actual favorite football team. It'll be fun. Warren F., I'm a Nats fan. I'm sorry, man. You're going to get a lot of good prospects.
You're going to get a lot of good players, though, for him, man. Look, don't cry because it's done. Cry, be happy it happened.
Yeah, be happy at having just, 23, long career ahead of him. You can watch him play for the Giants and have just as much fun.
It's not going to be the Giants.
I'm joking. It's going to be the Dodgers.
Dodgers. Yeah.
So we are here to preview the 49ers linebackers for 2022. And I wanted to start actually, we'll get to my question after I list the linebackers the Niners have. I think this conversation is going to be about 3 or 4 of them because those are the guys that are probably going to be on the team. There's another name that's going to be on the team in special teams. But here we go. The 49ers linebackers as follow: Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shayer, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. We're DFF fans. Squad, Jordan Elliott, shout out. Jeremiah Gemmel, Curtis Robinson, Oren Burks, Marcelino McCrary Ball, and Segan Alubi. Those are the 49ers linebackers as it stands. And so, Jason, JKBG, I love you so much for that comment. Jason Aponte, last week we did some myth busting a little bit with the 49ers safeties, kind of talking about why they don't necessarily force as many turnovers, kind of what's designed to be. And I want to kill a little bit of another misconception with the linebackers, and you probably have a great answer for it. A lot of the conversation around the 49ers linebackers right now is Aziz Al-Shayer versus Dre Greenlaw. We know who the Niners' number 1 linebacker is. There is no conversation. We're going to have a very much same segment like Trent Williams on Monday where we're just going to talk about how good Fred Warner is. But a lot of the times there's that conversation on Twitter. There's people that ask, why don't they just play both? They run a 4-3 defense. And I wanted to get to that because if you look at the snap counts in 2021, Fred Warner played 978, Al-Shayer 730, Dre Greenlaw 113, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles at 163. And if you combine Al-Shayer and Greenlaw, since they were both the number 2 linebacker last year, they played 843. So you're talking about Warner playing 978, the second linebacker playing 843, and Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles playing 163. Why is it not as simple as getting both Al-Shayer and Greenlaw on the field at the same time for this 49ers defense?
It's tough. You have to think about base packages that offenses come out in, how you intend to defend them. On base downs, it might be more possible, but when it's more spread out, you don't want that many guys on the field. Then what happens with nickel corner, that type of thing. So it depends on situation, down and distance, personnel, all of those things are important. But you know what? I kind of want to just get to the discussion, the real discussion, real quick.
You want to just get to it? Yeah.
I feel like we're going to discuss 5 linebackers. Fred Warner, we don't have to have a discussion about. Dre Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shayer, Oren Burks.
Oren Burks is there.
Yep. And DFF. But I want to pose a question to you, and I'm going to use PFF because it's a funny little thing that they do, is like pushing narratives one way or the other. I just want to throw this like little stat out there. Who is the linebacker that is known for coverage with the 49ers out of all of them?
For pass coverage, out of all of them, are we including Warner?
Yes. I mean, well, after Warner.
After Warner, probably Dre Greenlaw. He's pretty decent in coverage.
Yeah, okay. Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles is graded higher on defense than Dre Greenlaw, with less total tackles, less snaps, and a better coverage grade. Okay. By a lot also. Now, look, am I here to tell you that DFF is better than this guy? Am I here to bash on Dre Greenlaw? No. What I want to tell you is this is pushing a narrative. And again, PFF has a funny way of putting out their grades.
Yes.
And when it looks your way, hey, look at PFF. Look what they said. And then when they grade it the way that you don't like it, burn PFF down. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's funny. Yes. I think it's really funny. I don't think that anybody will confuse DFF being better than Dre Greenlaw in coverage. Can we?
Yes, and that's why I was kind of surprised because I like when I think of Dre Greenlaw, I think of his ability in coverage and things like that, because I think that's if you had to put a category on him, he is more of a pass guy than a run guy. We'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles 71.3 coverage, grade on PFF. Dre Greenlaw 65.5. Bruce, thank you for the donation. Can we pocket this question for the end of the episode?
Sure. Bruce. I'm gonna start this, and we will absolutely come back to this for sure. It's just we're in the linebacker groove right now, and we will absolutely answer this. Appreciate your donation.
We really do. We'll definitely get to the question at the very end. If you're not here on the live stream at the end, that's okay. You can download us on Spotify, Apple, all that. The recording will be up tonight. And it's back to the 4-3 conversation just really quick, just because I see B Mac asking about it. They should change to a 4-3. Their base is a 4-3. It's just in the NFL today, teams are running more 3 receiver sets, which means you can't have as many linebackers. That's why K'Wan Williams got so many snaps. And if you really look at the new NFL, you make the argument that 3 receivers could be a base because not a lot of teams are using that fullback. You could argue the Niners base defense is more of a 4-2-5, right? Base in the standard term of 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end, it's a 4-3. But with what the NFL's become today, the reason why you can't have both Greenlaw and Aziz Al-Shayer on the field is because there's not enough room. It's kind of the same thing as you remember when Quan Williams was on the team.
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw didn't really get play until Quan Alexander got traded. And then that's when we saw the step up in game and play for Dre Greenlaw. So that's where I wanted to get to just really quick. It is more of a 4-2-5 just because of the what NFL offenses run in 2022. And yes, what the hell is Fangio running in 2023? That's a question for next year, Jordan. We appreciate it. Jordan. So let's get into the big conversation. We'll get to the Fred Warner last. It is Aziz Al-Shayer versus Dre Greenlaw and that conversation. Jason, I'll start with you. I'll go to you on it. What's the difference between the two? What does one do better than the other? What does one do worse than the other? Kind of let's have that conversation.
Woo! And before we let Rich get in here, I want to get my bars off because I'll let Rich get into it real quick. Woo, man! This narrative about Dre Greenlaw not missing tackles, good lordy.
Yes,
we need to chill out. We need to chill out, and let me tell you why. I'm feeling good today.
You're feeling good. Feeling good. Yankees are winning. We're feeling good.
For now, whatever. They got blown out by the only team that matters, and whatever. Okay. Yes, Dre Greenlaw was injured last year. For sure. I hear you. Dre Greenlaw was hurt. But you don't miss tackles, right? Ever. You don't ever miss tackles. Well, I have a funny little stat. 21 tackles, 15 assists, 4 misses. Missed tackle percentage, 10%. Aziz Al-Shayer, 74 tackles, 37 assists, 14 missed tackles, 11.2%. Now let's do some math. 21 tackle attempts, 4 misses, 5.25. 74 tackles, 4 misses, with more snaps and more opportunities to miss tackles. By the way, because he actually played more, 5.25. Isn't it funny how that works? What a funny stat. You know what else is funny? 2019 is so in the front of your mind. In the front of your mind because of the stop.
Yes.
That you completely forget 2020, Dre Greenlaw wasn't that good in tackling. And I'm going to bring Rich in. We'll bring him in after I get my bars off. If you're not in position to make the tackle, you can't miss the tackle.
Yes.
And in 2021, in the little time that Dre Greenlaw was on the field, the Lions game is your perfect example. If you guys have Game Pass, I implore you to go ahead and look. It's there for you. It's 2 different angles. Dre Greenlaw is not missing tackles because he's running into the wrong gap and running right behind Fred Warner and running up his back. And Fred Warner is not the type to make them look crazy on the field, like in terms of showing them up. But Jamal Williams rips off a 35-yard run in week 1 because Dre Greenlaw doesn't play his keys and runs right up Fred Warner's back. And there's a hole that Jamal Williams runs through. And then if you watch the end of that play, Fred Warner runs to Dre Greenlaw and says, "What are you doing? Play your gap. Play your spot." Look, Dre Greenlaw is not a bad player.
No.
But when you start to tell me things that aren't true, when you look at them over and over and over, 2019's over. That's 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I don't want to hear about missed tackles. And 2020, he wasn't good. 2021, he didn't play. But when he played, he missed as many tackles as the guy who played more than him per tackle attempt. It's all there for you. But the narrative is you got to get Greenlaw on the field. You got to get him on there, man. He's so good in coverage. He's so good at, well, PFF doesn't agree, even if I don't agree with PFF. I'm just going to take it and run with this narrative about pass coverage. But the missed tackle thing needs to go away.
Yeah.
It needs to go away at this point. The guy misses tackles, and then you can't be in position to miss the tackles if you're out of your run fit. And that's the problem. A lot of guys miss tackles. Do you know why? Because they're in on almost every single play. They're sniffing the ball out every single play. You can't bring them in every single time. That's what Aziz did better. Yes, you're going to miss tackles when you're in on the ball, but when you're not in the way, you don't get attributed to missed tackle. There's no stat for completely blew his run gap, though. It's my spiel. Go for it.
Yeah.
Andrew.
And I'll pull it back because, listen, a lot of the Dre Greenlaw love, and we have Rich Madrid joining us live. Beautiful, beautiful Rich Madrid. How you doing, Rich? Just real quick. You are muted, my friend.
Old man moment. How are you guys doing? Good.
Oh, dude.
Good. What do you think? What do you think of my little spiel there?
I wasn't listening.
Jesus Christ, just go, Andrew.
So just really quick, and Rich, I'll loop you in.
I agree. I mean, my whole thing with Greenlaw is you can't miss a tackle if you're out of position and can't make a tackle to begin with, or you try to make a tackle and you don't even get a hand on the guy, which happens quite a bit. I've posted several examples over the last 2 years of it happening. And so that's what kind of missed tackle stats are kind of misleading, because if you never see when a player tries to make a tackle, doesn't get a hand on him, they don't count it as a missed tackle. So it's you actually have to touch the ball carrier, and I just kind of think he's overrated. I mean, he's okay for a 5th round pick. I mean, it's kind of what you expect a 5th round pick to be, but like you said, 2019, everyone always goes back to he made a great stop, and sure, but the tight end for the Seahawks ran right into his zone at the goal line. So I would expect him to make that stop 100 out of 100 times.
Look, so I know that we're going to table the 1-star, but my guy Mav, shout out to Mav, man. This is my guy for real.
No, Joe Burrow is not a top.
Yeah, look, Wasted Laponte. Can we get back to the Jimmy G talk? The viewership numbers are down. Maybe a Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback title. Your PR team, Mav, this is so perfect because Rich is literally the person who will tell you that Joe Burrow is not a top 5 quarterback.
Maybe not even top 10.
Not even top 10 at this
Maybe
point,
even not
man.
top 15. I don't know.
Shout out to you, Mav. Appreciate you, bro, as always, man. Thank you.
And listen, this isn't necessarily a bash on Dre Greenlaw.
It's not.
Segment, not an episode, because I think part of the conversation is what makes this linebacker group, as good as it is, because it is what PFF had them at the number 1 group, I believe, off the top of my head, right? That was the group they won. They finished number 1 is there's so much conversation. It's such a good thing because it's an argument about the number 2 linebacker. There are teams that don't even have 1 linebacker.
And let's be clear, Andrew, this is the best linebacker group in the league.
Yes.
The reason that it is the best linebacker group is because Aziz Al-Shayer ascended this year. It wouldn't be that way. Like, they could be a top 5 group with Warner and Greenlaw, but because Aziz played so well and is ascending is the reason that they jumped all the way up to number 1. So we're not talking bad about Greenlaw. This is more about people need to understand how well Aziz Al-Shayer plays going.
Yes, and in comparison to Greenlaw as well, right? Because there is things. I mean, you mentioned the Lions game, and you know where I am with the tape. And week 1, back at the season, I wasn't too big of a tape guy. I'm still learning, but even I could kind of see, hey, the Lions are running right at his hole or at his gap. He's not there to make the stop, right? He's not there, and because he's getting out of position and things like that, and definitely like talking to Rich, understanding how he's missing the positioning and all that stuff. And I want to understand why Rich, or not understand, but I want to see what Rich thinks, why he's out of position so often, what he's over pursuing, things like that. But Greenlaw does have his place in 49ers history. The interception in the Monday night game, that's kind of forgotten because the Seahawks won that game. He had that interception and turned it out to the 50. And then obviously the stop in Seattle. That he is a good Niner for that reason. However, he does struggle. Both can be true, and that's okay. He still is a 3rd-year or 4th-year player now. I know he missed the game last year, or missed the season last year. 4th-year player. He still has room to improve. So, Rich, I want to turn to you more so on the tape side of things, and we'll move to Aziz Al-Shayer here in a minute. I just want to get Rich's thoughts on this. Is what do you think is causing Greenlaw to be ineffective in the run game, and what the reasons could be? He's sliding out of position so frequently. Like, what could that be?
I think it's just misreading his keys. Linebackers have a set of keys they need to read when they're keying on the fullback or the running back, depending on the personnel grouping the offense is in. And they have gaps they have to fit. So if they're reading outside zone or run to the sideline or get outside the box, and they have to fast flow and they have a gap they have to hit there. If they're running fullback lead up the middle, he has to hit a certain gap, and he has to basically spill the ball carrier, force the ball carrier back inside. And I think there's certain keys that he's just misreading, and I don't know. We don't have any insight into really how they teach it, but generally, that if like run fits, defensive scheme and stuff like that, generally you can get an idea of where they're supposed to be. And a good tell is like watch Fred Warner. Fred Warner Like if you watch that clip in the Lions game, Fred Warner gets on him on like in the middle of the open field right there after they give up that 20-yard run.
That's what I said. He literally ran to him like, "What are you doing, dude?"
And you can kind of tell like, well, okay, he fit the wrong gap. He was probably supposed to hammer the inside and spill the ball carrier back to Warner's gap, and he just ended up right next to Warner, so the lineman got a block on two guys, and Williams went right up the middle. They just I don't know what it is. Like he doesn't read the keys right or something. I can't really tell because we don't really know how they're coaching him, but that's what it seems like to me.
Mav says, "Well, relax. Drake Greenlaw only 25. Still room to improve. People forget Aziz is only 24. A lot of time and lots of room for growth." Matt, the thing is this: Aziz Al-Shayer, when he was given extended playing time, showed me a little bit more in terms of what he's done with a full year than Greenlaw did in 2019. 2019 is like a beautiful year for everybody, aside from the ending. Everybody did everything great, and everything was perfect because of all of those things. 2020 showed the cracks when things weren't going well. In 2021, unfortunately, Dre Greenlaw wasn't healthy. Aziz Al-Shayer did something that Dre Greenlaw, I feel, is not in his bag this year. He wore the green dot in Seattle, and he didn't just like play okay. He dominated. He had a fumble recovery. He had a fumble punch out that would have been just as big as the Dre Greenlaw thing if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down and scores. Rich was there. He was all over the field, flying around. Emmanuel Mosley gets injured in that game, so they lose coverage in that game. Aziz Al-Shayer did something that Fred Warner wasn't in that game, but if you ask Dre Greenlaw to do, I don't think he's capable of. And again, this isn't a knock on Dre Greenlaw. This is myth busting what people tell me about what Greenlaw needs to immediately play over Aziz. Why is it that? Why is that the conversation? I don't understand that portion of it. It can't be slam dunk. Oh, Dre Greenlaw's playing. You got to tell me how and why. Is it because of 2019? Well, that was one play and then the interception against Seattle. 2020, he wasn't very good. 2021, he didn't play. Aziz Al-Shayer played. And then he played injured at the end of the year, and that's why a lot of, his play tapered off. But Dre Greenlaw was injured, and Aziz Al-Shayer for large stretches of last year. This is the part. Come close, guys. This is the part. For large stretches of last year, he was better than Fred Warner for a little bit.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Fred had some struggles early in the season. I don't know. I think a lot of guys struggled early in the season.
Yeah, and as I said, a large part of why this linebacking group is talked about as good as they are is because of this depth. It's not, as we said, this isn't dunk on Dre Greenlaw hour because it's not. There's a reason people want him to start. He has shown flashes. Yes, 2020 wasn't great. Start of 2021 wasn't great, but he was good, especially consider. I think people lose a lot of where these players were picked. Right? You don't necessarily think a fifth round linebacker is going to be an impact guy, but Dre Greenlaw showed that in 2019. He had a few impact plays. So is Greenlaw better than Aziz Al-Shayer? I don't think so. I don't think Jason thinks so. I don't think Rich thinks so. We believe that Aziz Al-Shayer is the second best linebacker on this team.
Let me ask a question real quick. Did Dre Greenlaw play in week 17 or week 18? Are you thinking of week 18? Because he didn't even play week 17 against Houston. And in week 18, in week 18 against the Rams, he's lucky he didn't get called for like 2 or 3 penalties because he's ripping the Rams helmets the other way because he's trying to make a play. Because you know why? Aziz Al-Shayer is coming for his job.
Yes. Okay.
So come on, don't like put the laughing emoji and act like you're like dunking on us. Like, let's get it right. Come on. Like Dre Greenlaw was overplaying because he feels it behind him because Aziz was balling out all year. Let's stop that.
So let's shift the conversation now from Greenlaw to Aziz Al-Shayer. Just because I think that was really the biggest, not the biggest story of the defense, but one of the bigger bright spots of the team. Not a lot of people. He was more of a special teams player the first few years, had some linebacker run when there's spots available. He improved, and Jason said you said exactly what I was going to say here. He improved throughout the season to a point where he was the green dot guy. he got the green dot. He played well. And what was the game? It was Seattle. Which was the one you said Warner got hurt? It was the Seattle one, right? Off the top of my head. Yeah, Seattle. And he was so damn good. That is the quintessential Aziz Al-Shayer game. And that's what it is. So, Rich, do you think it's just the more opportunity Aziz Al-Shayer got is why he got better? Was there things you saw throughout the season? Or do you think it was always there? Yeah. I
think it was always there. I think they were just waiting for opportunities to get him in. He really kind of showed out in 2020, I thought. I thought he kind of played better than Greenlaw that year, too, and Greenlaw played the whole season. But when Al-Shayer got in there, you could see the difference. One just looks faster on tape, a little more aggressive, sideline to sideline, and really made the most of his opportunities. Whereas in 2020, I thought Greenlaw was a little slow on the trigger. Again, reading his keys. There's plays where the ball is snapped and he's still in his pre-snap stance when everyone else is moving. Al-Shayer looks noticeably different and it pops on film. And I think it was, if you want to watch an Al-Shayer game, watch the Falcons game. Wasn't that the one where he had, or was it the Vikings game? I don't remember.
He had the pick against
the Vikings. Quite a few games, honestly. It was probably, I think the Vikings game was the one where he had that.
He had the pick. It was against the Vikings.
And I think he was hurt against Atlanta, so it probably.
Yeah, and look, real quick, just to Mav's point, Aziz better than DG for sure. Just saying he's young and reaching the prime of his career. Just feel as if y'all are writing him off like he's 29. I don't think we're writing him off. It's just
I would be surprised if they brought Greenlaw back. We're not. I mean, these guys can go other places and flourish and find meaningful snaps and be a decent player anywhere else. It's just for what the 49ers need. I think they'll probably move off of it.
Whoa, this is a good one right here.
Great question. Great question. $20. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you.
Straight Niner Empire. We appreciate it. Fun fact: did you know both Warner and Parsons had 6.5 sacks in college? Granted, Parsons has physical traits tailored to rush the passer, but will Warner be used more as a playmaking linebacker DE and allow Aziz to man the middle? Jason, you want to take it first, and then Rich?
I don't think so. I think that they're perfect the way they are. I think that Fred was pressing a little bit early on in the season. I think that the pressure of what was going on, and I think that it took D'Amico a little while to get his footing as well too, especially with that. Like, he had some flashes early on in the season, but he clearly ascended, and Fred was downright fucking dominant down the stretch of the season, like in every facet, everything, run blocking, everything, knocking everything out. Fred completely clicked, and that's the thing, is like it was a little bit of a transition period at that. What I wanted to say, because I did see something about Aziz having a personal foul in the title game. Aziz was banged up, and guess who got injured in the NFC Championship game also that forced Aziz to play? I don't want to hold that against him, but Drake Greenlaw got hurt in that game as well too. So he got hurt a few times this season. Just a little bit of context that is needed, right? Like, Aziz was trying, his arm was banged up, like he was wearing that long ass brace. And now, and that's a little bit of the reason why you guys are like, well, the coaching staff prefers Greenlaw. Maybe they realized that he was the more healthy of the two, because the one guy had been throwing his body all over the place all season. But yeah, look, in this way, I'll pass it to Rich in regarding this question.
No, I agree with you. I don't think Warner will be used as a rush the passer type of linebacker. I mean, they will blitz him once in a while, certain schematic blitzes that D'Amico draws up, but I don't think he's going to exclusively do that in certain passing downs or anything. If you watch Fred Warner, there's a reason why the safeties are allowed to roam the deep halves of the field, is because Warner can erase routes across the middle, and I think that's his biggest value as a linebacker. He's got the safety background. He can cover guys. He can eliminate one route across the middle and then kind of just shade over to the next one in the middle of the play, like I posted the other day, and take that one away, forcing a sack. I think his biggest value is something like that, because then if you have that, your safeties can get involved in the passing game downfield, and not a lot of teams can do that.
Brian Gamble puts a perfect spin on this. I mean, putting a second-round tender on Aziz lets you know what they think. Aziz Al-Shayer was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah,
that should let you know.
Which is why his performance is a little more impressive to me too, as an undrafted player.
Yes, like it works. It works in the same way too. I just mentioned with Greenlaw, like 5th-round pick, outperformed it probably in 2019. There's been a little bit of regression since, but Al-Shayer's an undrafted free agent, and he is like the Niners' a second round tender. That's not insignificant.
I mean, yeah, and this isn't to like totally just trash.
Right.
I mean, he is an aggressive, hard hitting player, and if they don't keep him, he will go find probably another team where he can be one of the two starters at linebacker again. And you know, when the 49ers are good, they tend to lose players like that. They go start and have decent careers for other teams. I think Dan Scuda was one until he became a domestic abuser or whatever.
Jesus!
But he was the signal caller in the middle of the Jaguars defense for a number of years after the 49ers. So it's not unheard of for these guys to not really catch on as well or do as well with the 49ers and go on and play, you know, good or well or sometimes great on other teams. It happens. Like but for the 49ers right now, it's just a lot of their backups can go be starters on other teams too. Right? And that's the way they're moving right now.
That's the thing too. Here's the other thing. We can have differing opinions on this. You can prefer Dre Greenlaw. We can prefer Aziz. You know what makes this good? The 49ers have the best linebacker group by far because of all three of those guys. Like, so look, you prefer Dre Greenlaw. I prefer Aziz Al-Shayer. We prefer Aziz Al-Shayer. Still the best linebacker group in the league by far. And what team wouldn't want this problem, this issue? And again, we're all just putting football opinions out there. We're not trying to say we know better than the others.
Yes.
I've seen what I've seen on film. Rich has. You know, the numbers kind of bear things out that they're very much similar, because I have people that tell me all the time, it's Greenlaw, it's not even close. Aziz, you know, like, that's the part that kind of bothers me. It's not this cavernous gap between the two of them. If it is a gap, it's this.
Yes.
But I could still be on the other side saying that the gap is this, with Aziz being on the other side of it than Greenlaw. That's all.
Yes, and like as I said, like as I've been saying, that's what makes this conversation so interesting, is because both have shown why they should be the second starter. It's not like this is this is like, I guess the comparison is with left guard, right? There's not much conversation going on between Aaron Banks and whoever the second left guard is going to be, and I think that might be an issue because there's no alternative to that. If Aaron Banks doesn't work, the Niners are stuck. If the Niners start Aziz Al-Shayer and it doesn't work out, Dre Greenlaw is not the worst guy to fall back on. And if they go with Dre Greenlaw and he doesn't work out, Aziz Al-Shayer is not the worst guy to fall back on. So yeah, man, it's okay to have the preference of Dre Greenlaw. As we said on this podcast, we have the preference of Aziz Al-Shayer, just like we are Mike McGlinchey guys, like we're Jaquaski Tart guys. It is what it is. But we will be the first people to admit that if Aziz Al-Shayer starts and he's off to a slow start and Greenlaw comes in and plays well, we will be the first ones to say we were wrong. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, man, it does feel like it's more so the conversation of why this conversation, because a lot of people like Dre Greenlaw, and that's okay. I like Dre Greenlaw. Jason likes him. Rich likes him. That's cool. It's fine. It comes down to what the Niners ultimately do, and that's what it is. I totally lost my train of thought there. I had to pull it back, and that's okay.
I guess I keep seeing comments like Al-Shayer is only coming in at certain times or whatever. I just pulled up the first play of the Lions game, and the three starting linebackers are Aziz, Warner, and Greenlaw. So Aziz was one of the three starters at the start of the season. I understand Greenlaw came back in, right away after he was off the.
But he was the more healthy of the two. Why is that not part of the conversation? Right. Dre Greenlaw was recovering from his injury for 10 games. Aziz Al-Shayer was throwing his body across the field for many games, and he was more banged up. I don't think that necessarily points to, well, the team automatically just says, well, you know what, Greenlaw, you're back. Aziz can't play. Yeah. You have to play the guy that's more healthy. Why is that not part of the discussion?
I think it'll be more telling than, because I understand the base of that argument, but there is factors like Aziz Al-Shayer being injured and all that. I think it'll be more telling on who is the week one linebacking core and who sees the more snaps in week one. I think that'll be it. The coach, thank you for the donation. Ultimately, it's about Fred. He plays better with Dre. I think I mentioned this to you before. Fred plays tentative with Aziz. Aziz plays free.
What do you say to that, Rich? I don't think that's a bad point, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
I don't agree with it.
Go for it, Rich.
I think having Aziz out there lets Warner play a little more free than it does Greenlaw. I mean, there's examples all season of that with Greenlaw being out of position and Warner getting frustrated with it. And when Aziz is in and Warner's in, I think he's allowed to play a little more free because he knows Aziz can cover some of these guys better. I don't agree with that at all.
And I don't think that this is in any way correlated. There's Hendricks, you're my man. Like, I see Bart Simpson, in it there, but this is not apples to apples. Quarterback and linebackers, come on, that's not even close. That's not.
Trey never took his spot because Kyle Shanahan told you that was never happening.
That's not even close to being an apples to apples comparison. Come on, man. I love you, buddy, and you're the man. Like, I'm not trying to.
They told you their plan for quarterback all season. That's all I'll say.
Come on. He never changed his opinion.
And I wanted to bring this up.
Never changed their minds from April.
Dusty, no.
And that's not knocking this group. It's just this is
the simple answer is no. Like, Willis and Bowman, man. I don't think you're ever going to find another two going forward that are going to be better than them on any team.
Hey, now just wait until next year when Fangio's the DC. Then that step will be made. We'll be talking Greenlaw, Al-Shayer, and Warner better because Fangio's there. We love Fangio. Big fan Fangio.
Fangio won't play a lot of three linebackers.
All right. So I think we've had enough of the Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shayer.
Good question, guys.
Very good.
With everybody in the chat, man. Look, it's a good problem to have.
Yes.
No matter what, man. Disagree, who cares? Like, yell at me, fine. It's a good problem to have. They've got three really good linebackers. That's why they're the best linebacker group in the league, easily. That's it.
Whatever group they end up choosing will be the right one. I think that's the best way to say it. I think if whatever Shanahan or more D'Amico, I guess Shanahan picks the lineups, whatever Shanahan feels more comfortable with, it's probably the right choice in my opinion. That's just how I am. I'm a big Shanahan guy. I just want to get in because we've gone for 38 minutes. We love it. We're having fun. We want to make sure we get the starred question. I just want to talk about how good Fred Warner is real quick. I just want to get Rich thoughts, Jason's thoughts, just because we haven't really talked about him yet. What makes Fred Warner so special in both of your minds? I know, Rich, you watch a lot of tape. Jason, you watch a lot of tape. You guys probably see more than what I see just because I'm still learning. What in your minds makes him so special in this conversation of top 3, top 2, top 1 linebacker? Rich, I'll start with you.
His play recognition, it's off the charts. He's really smart, and this is something that stood out in his rookie year. I think it was during those OTAs or minicamp they started handing him the reins for play calling in 2018, and it was kind of like unheard of for them to do that to a linebacker who had been playing basically a box safety in college, nickel safety and stuff like that. Just incredible. And then when you watch the week 1 tape against the Vikings in Minnesota from that season, he is everywhere, all over the field. Just the way he reads the plays. I think there's no other linebacker in the NFL that does what he does. And then he's just gotten better since, in the passing game. He has a good feel for route distribution and concepts. He can erase routes over the middle of the field, allowing the safeties to kind of take a more 2-deep safety role in the defense, which is where they've transitioned over the last 3 seasons. When you have a linebacker like that who understands like the passing game from at that level, it's unheard of, and you can tell just how smart he is just by watching him play.
Man, the versatility, being able to do whatever it is that you want, wipe away your third receiver, not a tight end, your receiver. If you have a receiver that's in his area, whether it's zone, whether it's what you're asking him to cover, my God, that Packers game, my goodness. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that divisional game, I implore you guys to go back and watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Just fighting through traffic to navigate to the ball.
Fred set that game in motion because the Packers scored with ease on the first drive, if you guys remember. And then they started moving the ball again. And Jermichael Finley catches a pass. Is it Jermichael Finley? Who? It's not him. No, Mercedes Lewis. I'm sorry, yes. Jermichael Finley. Goodness gracious. Mercedes Lewis catches a pass. And Fred punches that thing out. And that completely swung everything. It's so crazy how people say football is a game of momentum and momentum shifts. But that play right there, and by the way, right after that, all he did was stuff the run, stuff anybody that was near him in any sort of pass coverage. It's just instincts, all of those things. Big play when you need it, those type of things, man. I don't know what else needs to be said about Fred, man. Like, the 49ers have been blessed with some of the best linebacker play that anyone can remember for a long time. I mean, think about going, look, 52, 53, 54. And if we want to get, crazy, 51. Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
Well, I mean, even too, like to that point, unless I'm forgetting the number, the year between Willis and Warner with Chris Borland, who was pretty damn good with the Niners as well, 50. So yeah, so in the middle of it, like very, very good. Like It's been consistent. So even in the 1 year where there's no Willis, there was obviously there's a drop off because Patrick Willis is up here, but Chris Borland wasn't bad.
Yeah, and then when you think about, in the beginning of the season, not a lot of guys can push through struggling early on, right, in the year, right? It takes a lot of mental discipline and fortitude to just say, you know what, I've, not been playing so well. All this pressure's on me, and he elevated his game. It seems to me like when the defense really caught its stride was when the pass rush really started coming alive, and when Fred started playing the way that he did. I mean, that Dallas game, you can look at it. It's all the way down the stretch, man. Fred is just so important, man. And in every single time that you need it doesn't matter what you need for him. Cover the third receiver. It's the Ravens game in 2019 that I really feel like was
the baseball turn with Hollywood Brown.
Right. Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Rich. It's the Ravens game in 2019. He covered Hollywood Brown down the field. Hollywood Brown, not Mark Andrews, not their backup tight end. Hollywood Brown. He turns and he's able to get in front of it and knock the pass and just disrupt the pass to the point that it's incomplete.
And he didn't just turn. I mean, he baseball turned, and that's like a killer on the football field. If you baseball turn or speed turn like that, it's over. You get burned as a corner, a safety, whatever. But Warner with Hollywood Brown over the middle of the field and stride for stride.
And this isn't 2021 Lamar, 2020 Lamar. This is 2019 unanimous MVP Lamar. And the 49ers were this close to knocking him off.
Yep.
That's 2019. That's when I really realized I was like, okay, Fred's this guy. Fred's the guy. Like this is the guy now. Like this is him. Like now we can really say this is him. So when you look at all of those things, when you look at the way that you can ask him to do anything on the field, man, consummate professional, everything about him, perfect representative. For everybody who's upset with Deebo Samuel and the way that he's handled his contract, I'm not. But Fred did that. He went to minicamp. He sets the example. This is what you want for your team going forward. Fred, I can't say anything more about Fred Warner, man. Andrew, I'll let you talk, man.
You guys said everything that was really needed to be said. I don't know what I can add other than he's really good. I think the big thing that I've noticed and the most comparable thing I have to him to Patrick Willis is when Patrick Willis was there, anywhere the ball was, 52 was there. Like you wanted to find 52, just find where the ball was because he was always there. I remember what was it? It was the Arizona game where it was the one they won on the safety, I believe. In overtime, but this Willis, he chased down their running back like 40 yards down the field and just that speed. And that's what Fred Warner has is every play 54 is in there. He's always involved in some sort of way. And to me, I think that's a sign of a good linebacker. If you're there on every play, you're covering the field, you can ask him to run step for step with Hollywood Brown and everything like that. 54 is in on every play. Go ahead, Jason.
Aaron Judge just hit his second home run of the game. 465.
I saw that.
Baseball podcast or a football podcast?
Mind your business, Angels fan.
So I think that's going to be it for the linebacker
preview. We could talk about. Look. one thing I want to say before we shift, we can talk about Oren Burks.
Okay, Oren Burks, real quick. Okay.
One thing I want to say, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody who's been, engaging in discourse. Us here at the Sprint Right Option Podcast, we are trying to be better. Jason Aponte is trying to be better about having civil discourse and understanding your opinion is my opinion. Nobody's opinion is better than either. I appreciate you guys. You guys are all sharp. All of our people that watch this show are the sharpest on the internet. Appreciate you guys for tapping in with us and having this discussion with us. Nobody's better than the other person. We're all just trying to be civil here. We all root for the same team, and this is an amazing problem to have as linebackers. But Oren Burks does deserve to be discussed, I think, Andrew.
Okay.
Just in the way that, look, this team this year in the offseason, they made moves that had to do with special teams and everybody was just like, well, that's not flashy. Well, special teams had to do a lot with where they were giving up starting points and making tackles and things like that. So it's clear that in this offseason, George Odom, Oren Burks, those guys were brought in. Yeah, they're depth pieces. They play other positions, but special teams is important. And this front office has prioritized that going forward. And look, if the Green Bay Packers special teams wasn't shittier than the 49ers special teams, they would have been playing in the NFC Championship game. So that's how important special teams are, and the 49ers didn't want to let that happen to them. So I just wanted to say that.
Hey, Jace or Rich, can you take off your 49er hat, put on your Acme Packing Company hat? What's your thoughts on Oren Burks? Because he was a Packer last year.
Mav, I will fire you from the PR team for that kind of talk, man. That is not how you talk to the boss. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, Rich.
Come on, Rich. Can't you be optimistic in July?
No, I mean, you want my opinion, or you want me to?
Just give your opinion.
Give your opinion.
Give your opinion.
No, I mean, he did all. He filled in well in spots. Like I hope he's not like a full-time starter
On special teams.
Special teams, he's fine.
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about like him. Like
he did play in a handful of games at linebacker, and it wasn't great. So you'd never really want that guy to get meaningful snaps at linebacker. If you're down to Marcel Harris and Oren Burks at linebacker, the season's
over.
There you go.
It's not like it's not ideal. It's not what you want.
You didn't watch. I mean, coming from the Packers special teams too. I mean, he was okay. Like, nothing really stood out, but they weren't a good special teams unit. They were not good at all last year. And like you said, if
not great.
They were worse than the 49ers, and they were probably two of the worst special teams units.
And it cost them. It cost them. So look, everybody gives Aaron Rodgers all these passes, right? Like Aaron Rodgers didn't necessarily play well against the 49ers. Well, the 49ers played well on defense. But the Packers defense didn't allow a single offensive touchdown in that game, and they didn't even move on to the next round. If I would have told you that the Packers weren't going to allow an offensive touchdown before that game happened, you would say the 49ers lost and they went home.
Sometimes good defense just in the playoffs is unmatched. I mean, the Bucks did it to the Packers the year before in the NFC Championship, and then look what they did to the Chiefs
almost
2 weeks later in the Super Bowl that year. I mean,
almost like that Niners defense was built for that cold weather.
I think we put too much on the quarterback in terms of that type of stuff, not realizing what those defenses go on to do later in the season. The 49ers, I think, held the Rams to their lowest playoff score total last year too, and probably one of their lowest scoring games all season. I mean, the 49ers were a really good defense, and they will put even the best quarterbacks on thin ice. So I expect nothing different this year.
I expect more.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, D'Amico's going to be a head coach regardless, so he's going to have a lot to prove this year, and I think he's going to run the house.
I think it's fair to say that D'Amico's going to continue. D'Amico's going to continue the ascension that he had at the end of the year because he was downright masterful. And I think it started with the Cincinnati game when you consider he started Ambry Thomas out there and he kept him clean for much of the game. Now, you can't do that all the time because they'll figure that out.
No.
But when you consider that with the fact that this secondary for me is going to be better than it's ever been under Shanahan and Lynch. Sorry, Uncle Sherman, but like if it's Ward and it's Mosley, and even if it's Verrett too, like, and you find a way to bunch those three, I don't see how you can really argue that they're going to marry this pass rush now with the best secondary they've ever had. So, I mean, there's a world where the 49ers are better.
They lost DJ Jones, but Kevin Gibbons played really well last season in the reps that he got. I've been going back and watching certain things because I'm working on something.
What website would that be?
westcoastfootball.substack.com.
Perfect.
I'm working on a little study of how the 49ers fit the run from two deep safeties. And Kevin Gibbons is someone who pops out on film, especially late in the season and in the playoffs, from his defensive line position, as someone who's very disruptive, especially against the run. So I don't think they're going to have a drop off from that group at all. Plus, they just signed. I don't think it's been reported anywhere else, but by our guy. But it looks like probably Kemendiche is going to be there too, and they're all about adding depth and getting the most out of these players on this defensive line. So there shouldn't be a huge drop. And then in what you were saying about D'Amico Ryans, like late in the season, he was in his bag. He was throwing out things that they don't really run. They use sparingly. The overload. Like I think Jordan sent us that clip earlier. The overload fronts, they've rarely used that, and then he used it quite a bit in the playoffs. So he's very strategic, very tactical in that regard.
Hendricks,
are we talking about baseball?
I'm sorry, Mickey Mouse ring. If I could be honest, Mickey Mouse ring.
Beautiful. Best team in the National League until the Giants get Juan Soto.
No. Honestly, look, there is a world where this defense does take another step, and I don't want to miss this.
It's hard to believe because they've been a top 5, top 6 unit the last 3 years.
So let's talk about something that. Oh, damn it! I unstarted, or did I pull it up?
No.
We
lost.
I'll find it. I want to bring this back up because we did want to get back to the super chat that we did table, and this is a great thing to bring up for, Rich is so like down the middle when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo.
He had 3 questions, Bruce. Thank you again for the night. We're gonna pivot off this. We'll finish up after this one. 3 things. We'll take it piece by piece here. Jimmy G. Do you see Jimmy G starting quarterback again elsewhere? I don't think off the bat. No, I don't think a team's gonna trade for him or sign him. But like the Giants are in the mix, and I could absolutely see a world where week 8 they're like, nope, we're Daniel Jones is not working. Jimmy Garoppolo, you come on in. Like I could see that world, but I'm not like week 1 starter.
All right, I'm starting to talk myself into this one. This team, this one team. Now, Ryan Pace is the general manager for the Atlanta Falcons.
Jason Windhorst here.
Listen, and Eastern Illinois connection with Sean Payton. They were both very big on Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, what does that mean? What's going on in Atlanta? Well, look, either way, Marcus Mariota is either going to play himself on the bench or be injured on the bench. And let's put it out there. Desmond Ridder needs a year or 2. Not Trey Lance. Desmond Ridder. He needs a year or 2 because he's not going into the same situation that Trey Lance is. I think Jimmy Garoppolo fits there, and I'm starting to talk myself more and more into that.
Okay.
Do I see him starting there? No, I see him going there, and when Mariota plays bad or gets injured, you look. The other thing is Arthur Smith needs to start winning games soon, because Arthur Blank is not just going to sit there and say, well, you've had a chance to assemble this roster. We'll give you another year. Maybe you kind of want to show, hey, look what happens when I get stable quarterback play, because Jimmy Garoppolo is certainly better than Marcus Mariota. Let's not even sugarcoat that. Maybe a little bit down the line, you start to look at him and say, hey, you won 5-6 games. You got us energized for the next guy, because let's just also say this. Jimmy Garoppolo is a bridge quarterback for the rest of his career. Wherever he goes, whatever he does, it's always warming up the seat for the next guy. That's what he'll be. What do you guys think about my Windhorst
I like it. We need to work the watch this and too. So at some point. We gotta get all the names in there. Rich, you think Jimmy's start somewhere else again?
He probably will. Somebody will be desperate enough to take a chance with a good roster on him, because he will. I mean, if you have him, like you said, you will win some regular season games and probably be competitive enough to get in the playoffs with him if he can stay healthy. The Falcons make sense from a schematic standpoint because Arthur Smith runs virtually the same system. He's off the same coaching tree with LaFleur and some of these other guys. So he's picked up a lot of things and has installed a lot of the same things. And the offense looked similar to the 49ers last year with Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan's comfortable in that system. But I don't know how they make it work with still having Matt Ryan on the books. I don't care how they do it. They just need to find a way to make it work because that might be the best situation for him right now. I don't think he's going to end up in Seattle. The Browns, it looks like
that's out.
That's out.
Chosen Rosen,
Rosen time. That's it. You got cooked, Jimmy.
Yeah, and then what other teams are looking right now? I don't know.
One more thing I want to point out about the Falcons. It's pretty funny. Marcus Mariota was the starter in Tennessee, and Ryan Tannehill came in while Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator. Marcus Mariota got injured. Ryan Tannehill, who was a starter with Miami, ends up taking over and now is a starter in Tennessee. Well, Marcus Mariota's the starter. Arthur Smith's the head coach. Jimmy Garoppolo goes over there, and I can see him completely taking over that job over Marcus Mariota under Arthur Smith. Do you see the dots? The dots are being connected. Do you get it now, guys? Like it's starting. Like it was always right there in front of you, and now it's clear. And maybe the wine's hitting a little bit, but come on, man. Like, can you believe? Like, believe a little. Believe a little.
Does Debo actually want to play for the team anymore? Yes, he does.
Yes.
He was there for voluntary camp.
Yes.
He was participating the most he could, running, having fun. Listen, I think that once the Jimmy Garoppolo domino falls,
like Jason Lindhorst.
They already got the meme. Like, who was it? B&A, man. He's got me like on the face of like.
I think once the Jimmy Garoppolo domino falls, give it a week, and Debo will sign his extension.
Yeah, Debo's gonna be there, man. And I didn't mean to take away that.
And I think Rich probably has the same answer. You think Debo is gonna be here for a long time?
Yeah, I think he wants to play where he's gonna make the money, and I think the 49ers are gonna give it to him. There is something floating around out there that he doesn't want to take as many carries as a hybrid running back receiver type position. But I mean, I don't think he averaged probably more than 4 or 5 carries a game anyways. No. But I still think he wants to play there. I think he wants a little bit more of a chance to be a true wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce, the last one, how do I get on a live chat?
Just keep bugging them like I do.
just type in bold letters, in capital letters.
Well,
let me in.
There might be 2.
Or I will leak the contents of our group chat.
No, absolutely not. Wow, man, what a blackmail! What on earth is happening?
I don't know.
49ers country, let's ride.
Well, hold up, and to quote the good B. Sanders. Nobody cares about your emails, all right? I'm tired of hearing about your emails.
I don't know, Bruce. I think this is there's 2 ways to answer this question. How to get on live chat. Hey, look, you're on the live chat. But if that's not the live chat you're talking about, and you're talking about the Aponte, God, I haven't known you for 2 years or something like that. The Aponte Spicy Squad. You could join, and we have monthly. We'll probably do a little more throughout.
We'll probably do them way more now, but
way more throughout the season.
Squad call-in shows are lit, man. Like we had the last time we did it. Andrew popped on, Hobby popped on. I think Rich was there. Rich has been on for one of those. Like we get you guys on. We talk about whatever it is that you want.
Got our guy from Netherlands. I'm real bad with countries. 3 a.m. He's always in there.
And it's like 3 a.m. and he jumps on, man. Shout out to him, man. He's awesome.
So that's the ways to do that. If that's what you're asking, Bruce. Thank you again for the donation. We got to your question. Hopefully you're here to hear it. Hey, man, we appreciate each and every one of you. Kind of to Jason's point, we will disagree on things, and that is a-okay, chat. It's totally fine. It's okay to disagree. I think that's the fun of football. We promise we won't yell at you on Twitter if we disagree about things. We promise, because I think the disagreement is what makes things fun, because I think there's a million different ways to talk about sports, and disagreeing is ways that Jason and I disagree with things all the time. And when we talk about it, he makes me think of things different ways. I make him think of ways different things, and it works. So yeah, man, it's okay if we disagree on things. We have fun. We enjoy it. So thank you, each and every one of you that takes time to participate with us.
And that's the other thing is, if you come to me and we're having discourse, sometimes you will change my mind. When information is presented in front of me, I'm not so rigid and down the middle. And I think that's so, like, I have my own opinions. I do. They're backed by my own. I'm tired of people saying it's like hive mind, whatever. It's none of that. I have my own opinions. But if you do make good points, I will acknowledge that. And if you do make me change my mind, good. Continue to disagree. It's the world would be boring if we all just agreed with each other. Like, look, Rich likes the Angels, Andrew likes the Giants, I like the Yankees. It would be boring if we were all Yankees or Giants or Angels fans. And
it definitely would be boring for Angels fans.
It's only boring for an Angels fan. I was about to say, boom, had to get that last one in there. Hi-yo.
How to get that last one in. Hey, Rich, tell the people.
It sucks.
Hey, tell the people where they can find you.
Right there at the bottom, it has my handle on Twitter. It's at RichJMadrid. WestCoastFootball.substack.com, NinersNation.com, AcmePackingCompany.com. If you want to read about the Packers, I get a nice little paycheck to cover them. And FootballZebras.com.
Why, man? That's so.
Hey,
Hendricks.
See, here's why it was a rough night. Okay, let me tell you this. Let me tell you why. Here's my little insight of
real
how
quick,
I
and we'll end
baseball.
this.
And we'll end it. Here's my insight: is I was at peace. I was at peace when the Giants were down 5-0. Mentally checked out. I'm gonna go cook dinner. Don't need to pay attention. I turn it on right before Ruff hits the grand slam. He hits it, and my instant reaction was, damn it, I'm going to get hurt now, aren't I? I would have much rather lost that game 5-0, never got to see Ruff hit the grand slam, because I would have been at peace. And then I got hope, and as Ted Lasso says, it's the hope that kills you.
And that's the thing is, last night, I opened up the Yankees game 2 after losing heartbreaking game 1. They're down 2-0 in a blink after back-to-back home runs, and I say, oh, look, it's 9 o'clock. I get to watch the captain. And I completely just turned it on to the captain. One more thing also. DraftKings yesterday, for some reason, ran a promotion where it was plus 100 for the Dodgers getting more than one hit in the game. And the most you could bet was $25. So $25 for me turned into $50 just because of that. And thank you, DraftKings, for the free money. I jumped all over that promotion, man. So good.
The Blue Jays are beating the Red Sox 25-3.
We don't talk about teams that are cooked and have no chance at anything and aren't good at baseball. The Red Sox stink.
25-3. Okay, Rich. Hey, we appreciate it. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners. And the Red Sox are cooked. I don't care what happens to the Yankees. The rest
Vince McMahon's a very bad person.
Yes, he's a very bad person.
Great
Welcome,
meme.
everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast.
We're still live. Relax. I press end.
The Giants defense stinks, Hendricks. Why are we still live? What's going on, guys?
I press end. I don't know what's happening. We can just keep it going, but please don't say anything wild right now while we're still live when I'm waiting for this to end.
So how you guys doing?
Having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection. I'm going to